All right, so this time we're going to be diving deep into the world of energy drinks. We've got a pretty interesting stack of sources to unpack here. One that really caught my eye is this article from Vinmes. Now, Vinmes is a Vietnamese healthcare system, so it's not every day we get insights from that part of the world.
That's a great point. It'll be interesting to see how their cultural perspective on health and wellness might influence how they approach this topic.
Exactly. And speaking of perspectives, the article kicks off by highlighting water as like the ultimate hydrator, but then it goes on to explain how energy drinks market themselves as these performance enhancers, like they're this shortcut to increased productivity.
Yeah, it's a really smart marketing tactic when you think about it. They're tapping into our desire for that quick fix,
Hmm.
especially when we're feeling fatigued. But the article makes a good point that often dehydration can actually mimic that feeling of fatigue. So in a lot of cases, reaching for water could actually be a more effective solution in the long run.
It's true. Sometimes the simplest answer is the best one. But the article doesn't shy away from the potential downsides of energy drinks either. They really go in depth on the sugar content and link it to some serious health risks.
Right, and that's something to think about, especially for listeners who might be incorporating energy drinks into their workout routines
Hmm.
or, using them to fuel study sessions. We're talking about roughly 40 grams of sugar per serving. That's like downing a can of soda before hitting the gym or cracking open a textbook. Makes you wonder about the impact that could have on your metabolic function and even cognitive performance over time.
Definitely food for thought.
Mhm.
And it's not just the sugar that raises questions. The article also lists some pretty exotic sounding herbs and substances. Supposedly, they're all linked to mental alertness and performance. We've got taurine, Panax ginseng root extract, L-carnitine. Some of these sound more like ingredients in a potion than a beverage.
Right. It's like they're trying to create this image of a supercharged elixir or something. But the science behind some of these ingredients is a mixed bag. Like taurine, for instance. It's an amino acid that occurs naturally in our bodies, and it's often added to energy drinks. It's thought to play a role in muscle function and regulating the nervous system. But more research is needed to actually confirm how effective it is in energy drinks. And the same goes for many of the other ingredients.
So it sounds like it's buyer beware when it comes to those fancy sounding additives. Which brings us to another concerning point that the article raises, the marketing tactics used for energy drinks, particularly how they target young people.
Oh, absolutely. And this is where things get really worrisome, because adolescents' brains are still developing, which makes them way more susceptible to the effects of caffeine and sugar. Then you combine that with these marketing campaigns that promote energy drinks as a way to push your limits and defy exhaustion. And you've got a recipe for potential problems.
Yeah, it's a bit unsettling when you think about it. The article even mentioned that the FDA doesn't regulate energy drinks the same way they do sodas. Why is that?
Well, it's kind of a fascinating loophole. Energy drinks often fall under the category of supplements rather than beverages. So this allows them to sidestep some of the stricter regulations that apply to sodas, things like caffeine limits. It raises some questions about consumer protection and whether there's enough transparency about the potential risks.
So even with this limited regulation, are there any organizations weighing in on energy drink use? Because the article did mention the International Society of Sports Nutrition having a stance on them.
Yeah, they do. The ISS acknowledges that energy drinks can improve mental focus and performance in some cases, but they're quick to point out that the high-calorie versions can lead to things like weight gain and blood sugar problems. They seem to be urging a cautious approach, especially with those high-sugar varieties.
Which makes sense, considering all we've learned about the sugar content and those potential long-term health impacts. It seems like the article is really trying to drive home the point that water is the best choice for most people.
And they have a good point. I mean, water is essential for so many bodily functions, regulating temperature, transporting nutrients. Plus, it's calorie-free and doesn't contain any of those questionable additives we discussed.
It's like the original performance enhancer. But I get it. Sometimes you need something a little more than water. The article also mentions some healthy alternatives to energy drinks. What are some good options when we need a pick-me-up?
Well, naturally caffeinated beverages like tea and coffee are a great place to start. They offer a boost without all the added sugar and artificial ingredients. If you're looking for something a little more exciting, try fruit-infused water or sparkling water with a splash of juice.
I love those suggestions, and I think it's important to mention that the article specifically addresses certain groups who should be extra cautious with energy drinks, like pregnant women and people with diabetes or cardiovascular conditions. It's always best to consult with your own healthcare provider if you have any concerns about energy drink consumption.
Absolutely. Everyone's health needs and circumstances are different. So personalized advice from a healthcare professional is the best way to make informed choices about your beverage intake.
All right, so we've uncovered quite a bit about the ingredients, marketing, and potential health impacts of energy drinks. It seems like they aren't inherently evil, but they're definitely not for everyone.
I agree. Understanding the potential benefits and risks is crucial for making informed choices. But there's another layer to this conversation we haven't even touched on yet, the cultural implications of energy drink consumption.
Oh, that's a great point. We've been focusing on individual health aspects, but there's a whole sociological discussion to be had here.
Exactly. What does the popularity of energy drinks say about our society's relationship with energy, productivity, and even sleep?
Yeah, it really is fascinating to think about. It's like these drinks have become a symbol of our always on hustle culture, you know?
Yeah.
Like, are we pushing ourselves too hard in pursuit of this constant productivity? Are we sacrificing sleep and long-term well-being just for these temporary bursts of energy?
It makes you question those messages we see all the time. You know the marketing for these drinks. It's all extreme sports and pulling all-nighters and powering through endless workdays. It's like they're selling a lifestyle, not just a drink.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. It's this idea that we need to be constantly on, that any sign of fatigue is like a weakness. And for young people especially, who are already facing so much pressure to achieve, it can be a really powerful and potentially harmful influence.
I'm thinking back to all those times I reached for an energy drink. Like, was I actually thirsty? Or was I just buying into this idea that I needed to push harder, do more, be more? It's kind of unsettling. Yeah, it's definitely something to reflect on. It speaks to the importance of critical thinking and media literacy. We need to be aware of the messages we're receiving and make conscious choices about what we consume, both literally and figuratively.
I love that. Consume both literally and figuratively. So what can we do about this? If energy drinks are so ingrained in our culture, how do we even start to shift the conversation?
Well, awareness is a good first step. Just having these conversations, questioning the marketing messages, and examining our own consumption habits can make a difference. And on a broader level, promoting healthy alternatives, encouraging adequate sleep, and challenging this whole glorification of busyness can contribute to a healthier relationship with energy and productivity.
I appreciate that perspective. Change doesn't happen overnight. But by starting these conversations and making small changes in our own lives, we can create a ripple effect.
Exactly. It's all about finding that sustainable balance. We all need energy to function and thrive, but it's about finding healthy and sustainable sources of that energy rather than relying on quick fixes that might have unintended consequences.
Well said. We've covered so much ground today, from the science behind energy drinks to the cultural messages they convey. Who knew there was so much to unpack in a can of energy drink?
It really has been a fascinating exploration. I hope it's encouraged you to think more critically about your own relationship with energy and the choices you make.
And for everyone listening, remember that sometimes the best way to boost your energy is to listen to your body. Get enough sleep and stay hydrated with, you guessed it, water.
Exactly. No fancy ingredients or marketing campaigns necessary.
So we've reached the end of our deep dive, but the conversation doesn't have to stop here. What are your takeaways? What resonated with you? What questions are you still pondering?
I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of energy drinks. Until next time, stay curious, stay hydrated, and keep questioning everything. You know, it's funny, we started this whole deep dive thinking it would be all about caffeine and sugar rushes and stuff.
I know, right?
But we ended up
Yep.
going so much deeper. Like we talked about marketing and even like cultural norms around energy and productivity.
It's true. It's like these energy drinks are a tiny can, but they're packed with these huge questions about our values and priorities.
That's such a good way to put it.
And that's what I love about these deep dives. You never really know where they're going to take us.
Exactly. Peeling back the layers and finding all these unexpected insights.
Love it.
So to everyone listening, thanks for coming along with us on this journey into the world of energy drinks.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
We've definitely learned a lot, and I hope you have too.
You know, knowledge is power. The more we understand about what we consume, like literally and figuratively, the better choices we can make for our own well-being.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Keep those brains buzzing, everyone. But maybe skip the energy drink next time.
Yeah.
Until our next deep dive, stay curious, stay hydrated, and keep questioning everything as